When we think of serial killers or violent criminals, we usually imagine young or middle-aged individuals. However, crime history shows us that advanced age is not necessarily an impediment to heinous acts. The phenomenon of elderly killers challenges our perceptions about aging and criminality, raising intriguing questions about the nature of evil and the possibility of rehabilitation. In this ranking of the top 10 oldest assassins in the world, we will explore surprising cases of individuals who committed violent crimes at an advanced age or who continued their criminal activities until an unusually old age. These cases not only shock for their brutality, but also fascinate for challenging stereotypes about the elderly. From serial killers who escaped justice for decades to seemingly harmless elderly people who hid deadly secrets, this list covers a variety of criminal profiles. Each case reminds us that the capacity for evil has no age, and that vigilance against crime must remain constant, regardless of appearances. Albert Fish. Although all serial killers are despicable figures, Albert Fish stands out for his extreme cruelty. Known by nicknames such as the Werewolf of Wisteria and the Grey Man, Fish was infamous for his crimes against young people. He confessed to killing at least 3 children, although the actual number could be much higher. Fish even claimed to have children in every state, a disturbing statement. Considered one of the most terrifying and despicable American serial killers, Fish, who appeared harmless, killed his last suspected victim, 17-year-old Benjamin Collin, in December 1932, when Fish was 62 years old. He was arrested 2 years later, at the age of 64. Dorothea Punt, known as the Death House landlady. Dorothea Punt ran a boarding house in Sacramento and murdered some of her tenants. After disposing of the bodies, Punt diverted the victims' social security checks. Although she was convicted of 3 homicides, her total number of victims reaches 9. The first victim was Ruth Monroe in April 1982, when Punt was 53 years old. Her last victim, Alvaro Montoya, disappeared in November 1988, shortly before Puente's 60th birthday. She was sentenced to life in prison in 1993, at the age of 64, and died in prison on March 27, 2011, at the age of 82, taking many secrets with her. Kevin Gavin. In January 2021, Kevin Gavin was arrested for murdering 3 elderly women. The first crime occurred in 2015, when he killed 82-year-old Myrtle McKinney. He committed to other murders in 2019 and 2021. Gavin worked as a handyman at Carter G. Woodson houses in Brooklyn, where the victims also lived. When confessing to the crimes, he claimed that the victims owed him money for services rendered. Gavin was captured in January 2021, fairly using his last victim's debit card. He was 66 years old, Tamara Sanzanova. Tamara Sanzanova is the true Baba Yaga, one of her nicknames. Also known as Grandmother Ripper, Sanzanova is suspected of having killed her husband, who disappeared in 2000 when she was 53 years old. In July 2015, she killed her roommate, Valentina Ulanova, and was arrested at the age of 68. It is believed that she may have killed up to 13 people throughout her life, including tenants in her apartment. Melissa Ann Shepard. Melissa Ann Shepard, a Canadian criminal, committed various frauds in the 1970s and 1980s, being arrested on several occasions. In 1991, she killed her second husband, Gordon Stewart, by running him over. Shepard claimed she acted in self-defense because Stewart physically abused her, although many doubted this version. Convicted of manslaughter the following year, she was 57 years old. In 2001, at the age of 66, her third husband died under mysterious circumstances. Shepard attempted to kill her fourth husband, Fred Wicks, and was convicted of lesser crimes in 2012. She received a sentence of 3.5 years in prison, the age of 77. Samuel Little. Although Jeffrey Dahmer and Ted Bundy are widely known, Samuel Little is the serial killer with the most confirmed victims in US history. On January 31, 1970, he allegedly killed his first victim, Mary Brosley. Little confessed to killing at least 60 women and is suspected of more than 93 deaths. His crimes spanned over 30 years, from 1970 to 2005, with suspicions that they may have begun in the 1960s and ended in 2012. Little admitted to the murder of Nancy Stevens in 2005, when he was 65 years old, and his crimes may have continued until his arrest in September 2012, when he was 72 years old. Sandra Lane. On May 18, 2012, Sandra Lane, a 74-year-old grandmother, killed her grandson, 17-year-old Jonathan Halfman, who was still in high school. Halfman lived with Lane since his parents had moved to another state, and he didn't want to change schools. Halfman's parents asked the jury for a severe sentence for Lane, who was sentenced to 20 to 40 years in prison. Lane was 75 years old at the time of sentencing. Upon learning that her mother would spend the rest of her life in prison, Jennifer Halfman gave Lane a thumbs up. Ray and Faye Copeland. In the late 1980s, Ray and Faye Copeland ran a farm in Mooresville, Missouri. Ray carried out a scam involving drifters. He would pass bad checks to them, force them to buy cattle, and then sell the cattle for profit before the check bounced. To keep the drifters quiet, he killed them. Faye is believed to have been an accomplice, and the number of victims ranges from 5 to 12. Both were sentenced to death. At the time of sentencing, Faye was 69 years old and Ray was 76, making them the oldest couple in US history to receive such a sentence. Barbara Anyuka. The story of Barbara Anyuka is intriguing. In the late 19th century, she worked as a healer in the Yugoslav village of Vladimirovac. However, her work involved selling a love potion that contained arsenic and other fatal toxins. Anyuka is believed to have killed more than 150 people with these substances. She was captured in 1928 at the age of 90 and sentenced to 15 years in prison. She was released at 98 and lived to more years before dying in 1938 at the age of 100. Michael Juskin. In April 2015, 100-year-old Michael Juskin killed his wife, Rosalia, with an axe. Juskin suffered from dementia, which may have made his family life unstable and dangerous. Reports indicate that the couple faced serious domestic problems. After the murder, Michael committed suicide. So, which of these did you find the most curious? Comment below, and see you in the next video.